Here we are back again, sitting with Reba Merrill. And I'm happy to say we're going to talk about a Scottish actor today. And I learned something about that Scottish actor. Tell me some things that are secret, and lead us in why you were a best kept secret as the celebrity interviewer.
I was the best kept secret because my interviews played in 60 countries, and no one that played them knew it was a commercial. I knew it, the studio knew it, the production companies knew it, but nobody else knew it. Not even locally. When sometimes Entertainment Tonight would play a piece of footage, no one knew really what I was doing.
Very well known domestic and international.
I worked both. And when it came to Al Pacino, by the way, I did the entire world. I did both domestic and international.
The entire world.
Yes.
I love the entire world.
I did the
Just
entire
world. Well,
that was exciting. And I had a half an hour with him. So it is an amazing interview because he did talk.
Okay, so
but we're going to talk about.
We're going to get clips. Since you went with the A word, we're going to get clips put up, and we'll talk about all the Al Pacino stuff at the end of this. But let's pinpoint what we did understand we were going to come talk about today.
Sean Connery.
Amen. Bring the 007 on, because I think besides that he did some other things, and I'm thinking by the time he came around to your desk and a call for you to do the interview, he was probably moving on from 007.
Oh, way far on. Rising Sun was the film which he played, which I think his co-star was Wesley Snipes, and it was interesting because when you go to do a junket interview, a press junket interview in a hotel, you are put in a room with other journalists, and then you wait your turn to go into the star's suite. And so as I was waiting, I was talking to a senior vice president, and the studio happened to be 20th Century Fox at the time, and up comes Sean Connery's publicist, and putting her finger in my nose, pointing at me, I should say, she said, "Don't ask him about James Bond."
Pretty emphatic about it, sounds like, and I would imagine you adhered to that because you worked for the studios, you wanted to keep your good graces with asking the questions and continue your life of asking questions. What happened?
So I did. I avoided James Bond, which broke my heart because of all the Bonds, he was my favorite. I think it's because I like very dark-haired men. Okay. And he had the best toupee that was dark-haired.
Another secret.
He wore it from the first Bond on. In fact, just to step aside from the interview for a moment, I was so excited to meet him that I had no idea whether he had hair or not until I got back to my office and I could look at the tape, because he really, really is a star.
So that was starstruck. You had no idea what he looked like. You heard his voice. You knew the persona.
Yeah.
And you gave the interview in awe.
Oh, in awe.
You didn't know what he looked like. Couldn't even tell anybody. But you knew what you were.
And so the thing is that I just kept ducking Bond. You know, I said, "You have this career," and I asked him about all your characters, and I used the adjectives describing the men that he played, and he said, "I like to think I am those men." And then he says to me, "Why are you avoiding Bond?" She's sitting next to him.
The publicist giving you the evil eye, face to face with you. You're facing him. He wants to lead in on his greatest attribute and top off with the icing on the cake to get you probably, in all as much as you're already in all. What happened? Because you're not supposed to ask this forbidden question as topic. And
so I answered him, and I said, I was told I couldn't ask you about it. And he said, "What do you think I would do?" And I said, "Kiss me." And so he laughed, and I used that as an opening. Oh, I'm embarrassed to tell you.
Oh boy.
I looked at him and I said, "When you said Bond, James Bond, I thought you said it just for me." And he looked at me and he said, "But of course I did," in that Bond tone.
That's awesome. So you have such a great little anecdote about doing an interview with.
But it cost me plenty.
Tell us about that. Yeah. So if this publicist was watching in the wings, thinking that she was betrayed, obviously in the room, and did she feel betrayed by you or what?
She was very powerful. I thought that I had handled it quite well. It was just a little joke between us. I didn't ask him anything about Bond. And the next film that I was invited to do was The Rock, and it starred Nick Cage and Sean Connery, and I was not allowed to interview Sean Connery.
So the studio had the movie, sent you
The
up.
movie,
but
the studio wanted me, she forbid me. And so what we did is somebody else asked my questions.
Wow, that,
I got
that
to, look, I know,
asserted.
I know that I got paid for interviewing 6 people. And I can't tell you that I remember any of it, except I just saw the statement.
Gotcha. So it went through as if it happened, and for
Yeah.
whatever reason, how long would you say a rivalry or that taste?
Why don't you call it a vendetta that she had
Okay.
against me?
How long did? Obviously, she held a grudge. and you
Look,
killed
it
one of
lasted
your-
until Julia Roberts fired her. Okay? And
Wow.
once Julia Roberts, who at the time was the #1 female star in the world,
How about that?
fired her, all of a sudden, I could get to interview her stars.
How about that?
Too late for Connery because I never worked on another film with him, but I did get the rest. I did get Julia Roberts.
Yeah,
And wait a minute, I am not that nice. I want to tell you what I did.